Welcome to DDOCast episode 601, recorded live on Sunday, June 7th. I'm your host, Patrick. With me this week, coming back to the show, we have Arkat.
Hey, that's 2 in a row. What's up with that?
Short version, me not being very proactive about getting guests on the show, and you being readily available frequently,
That's
which
true.
I appreciate. And also in a similar boat, Nimvind.
Very nimbus.
You guys. This week's screenshot is not the one that I put in the show notes. Wow.
I don't even recognize that one.
It was the one from last week, actually, that I then, updated in one place, and because we didn't do a show last week, so just kind of how my process works. So I have to put the screenshot of the week in a couple different places, and I put it in I put last week's in my file and put this week's in the show notes. So when I want to update everything for the show, I didn't put the one in the file. So this is a griffin fighting an owlbear companion in the 465th screenshot of the week. Thanks to Sia for sending in this week's screenshot, which otherwise wouldn't have been, I would have skipped. So we'll skip this week's. Yeah, we're off to a great start here. We're rocking and rolling. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOCast.com. DDOCast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be next weekend, and you can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOCast.com, with our calendar. On the podcast this week, we're going to take a few minutes, say more than a few minutes. We're going to take the next hour and a half. Probably.
Holy crap.
Well, I mean, yeah. We're going to look at Update 46 Patch 2, which came out this week. We talked about this a little bit, the preview stuff, last time. So we were not going to go, we don't have to go through the notes entirely, but there's a lot of stuff to kind of pull out, and there's some new stuff. And spoiler alert, the release, not so great. So we'll talk about that. And then I also just want to we'll take some time to kind of talk about the information we got from Ask the Devs, which we did last time, a couple weeks ago. So we'll get a chance to kind of dive into some of that new information and talk about that. Some of which will kind of be encapsulated in the talk about Update 46 Patch 2, because some of it came out in Update 46 Patch 2. And that's actually even why we talked about it on Ask the Devs. So, yeah. Couple of production notes. If you have trouble with strobe lights, please don't look at an Nimvind screen if you're watching the video. And also, if you're watching this, video, you'll see that I have a new mic set up. And if you're just listening to it, hopefully you'll hear a better quality audio. But just know that I'm still kind of dialing some things in, and my voice volume and placement and these kind of things. This new pop filter is really nice, better than the one that I had before that I didn't like to breathe in. And it's just a lot bigger, which means if I put the mic where I usually have it, you wouldn't be able to see my face. You'd only see a pop screen. So,
Bigger's better.
Yeah, sometimes. In any case, just know that the next couple weeks there might be a little bit of kind of dialing in of the audio features and stuff like that. So, hopefully the overall quality will improve. Right, with that, let's talk about game news. Because we got a couple of fun things to talk about. We will talk more about hardcore when we start kind of talking, like break down some of the stuff from Ask the Devs. I want to talk about that in that space. However, there is some stuff that's kind of relevant to Season 2. One, the leaderboard is up, so they did post that leaderboard. Other than the fact that Cordovan initially posted the wrong list for the Reaper trees, it looks like this is at least a lot better than the Season 1 leaderboard. If you were paying attention, season 1 when they released the leaderboard, there were a whole bunch of problems, and even just throughout the whole season, there were people who were dead that were still on the list. And it seems like they kind of dialed a lot of that in, and that wasn't a problem this season. Cordova did also mention that with season 1, they had initially intended to put a plaque or of some kind in the Hall of Heroes. They may not be doing that anymore. That was a little up in the air, at least as far as I could tell, because of the issues they had with that leaderboard. There's I think there's some concerns about putting a not well groomed and filtered leaderboard, an incorrect leaderboard, if you will, permanently in the game in that respect. Also, I think that may have been something that they were thinking, hey, this would be really cool to do. And now they're thinking, this was really popular. We're doing a second season. That was really popular. We're planning a third, probably more seasons. At a certain point, that becomes a little cumbersome and how to do that. Especially it doesn't really tie in-game lore-wise. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Not that Hardcore League makes a lot of sense in-game lore anyways. But, so I don't know if we're gonna see that. I at least personally don't really care. Although I know people who got on the leaderboard and wanted that immortalization might. I think it's okay. It's just on the forums, but
I think lore-wise, this is actually really good for a lot of. See, this is what I've suggested to the devs was just cycle the big bads that storylines didn't end. You know, like bring back the Dreaming Dark Guy, bring back the Harbinger of Madness, Mind Flare.
Yeltoon.
You know,
Yeltoon.
yeah, like have them host it, being like, haha, I thwarted the. Now that you got rid of Eritricos, I'm here. And I'm not done with you. And then we can just if they don't want to do another Sorjek storyline, just have his storyline end in Hardcore.
I thought they ended. I thought Sorjek and the Stormreaver storyline had ended. I feel like Fall of Truth it kind of finished that off.
Well, Sorjek was Sorjek in.
No, that was a Stormreaver. Sorjak's still around.
No,
he's a lich.
Sorjek is. I thought. I mean, he's the big bad in Reaver's Refuge. But I thought that he was destroyed, but maybe not.
No. Well, a lich technically can't get destroyed until you kill its phylactery.
Sure,
he became a lich by then. I mean, technically, you could just say frack it, he's dead. But right now, he's probably a pile of dust collecting souls.
Yeah, there's some interesting things they could do there. Again, we'll kind of talk about some more. We've talked about some of that in the past. The other thing about Hardcore Season 2, transfers had some issues. They had to close it, I think, twice. They're back up. It looks like they got all the issues ironed out. They will remain available through June 9th. So you have a couple more days. I would get them off as soon as you can. The show should be published before they turn them off. A word on their dating convention through June 9th means it will probably be turned off sometime the morning of June 10th. That would be kind of standard there. But please don't wait until the last second to get that in under the wire, kind of a thing. Get it done earlier than later. Okay, the next thing to talk about, there's an update on the free questing and VIP initiative and status. So Sandstone Games made DDO's content completely free, including expansions, initially through April. That was extended to May. And then they gave us an update a couple weeks ago. I'm just going to kind of read through some of the stuff they said. We have seen our communities come together in recent months as we unlocked quest, raid, and adventure area content to all players. And we are excited to make an announcement today that you'll want to read. We would like to thank you for supporting us. To start, players can continue to enjoy all of our quests, raids, and expansion content for free through August 31st, 2020. So you get another couple of months. So it'll be, 5 months free? across the board. We would also like to provide a way for you to move forward with your gaming when our event eventually comes to an end. So, in the coming days, and they have done this already, they will be providing a coupon code that will let you acquire all currently available adventure packs permanently on your accounts. However, you'll need to act quickly, as this coupon code is available to redeem through August 31st, 2020. Additionally, we will be conducting a sale that is currently on 2 of our expansions in the DDO store. While the sale is active, players will be able to pick up the quests included in Menace of the Underdark and the Shadowfell Conspiracy for 99 DDO points. That's each. 99 points each. Stay tuned for the exact timing of the sale. It's out. We are also announcing an update to our VIP program. VIPs will be getting a permanent 1% XP boost for every member in their party other than themselves and hirelings, up to a maximum of 5%. This boost stacks with other bonuses and works the same as our long-running weekend buddy boost bonuses.
That's not active yet.
That is not active yet. That's correct. VIPs do not need to do anything to get this update, as your accounts will automatically receive this benefit starting in a game update in the near future. Please continue to stay safe. We are happy to have you here. Sincerely, the teams at Standing Stone Games. Before we start talking about it, the coupon code, DDO Free Quests, 1 per account, available to redeem through August 31st, 2020. That coupon will only grant the adventure packs released as of today. Future adventure packs will be available per usual, free to VIP, and available in the DDO store. So this will give you all of the adventure packs up through update 46. It does include the Lost Gatekeepers adventure pack. Update 47 will not have an adventure pack, but rather a free quest along with the 3 legendary-ified raids, which we'll talk about later when we talk about Ask the Devs. Okay, so a lot to unpack there. First, again, DDO free quests. You can put that on an account even if you're a VIP. So if if your VIP subscription lapses, you'll still have access to all that content for free. If you're listening to this, if you haven't already, stop listening. Unless you're in a car, then continue. But if you're at home, stop listening, log in, put that code into your account. All of them, however many you have. Right now. There is no reason not to do it. Please do it.
I just got done live streaming the last 2 days. I have 4 backup accounts. I put in the coupon and I grinded out favor just to get the expansions on all accounts. It's easy to do. I highly suggest it. And just to have another tune to help you pull loot, like make accounts. I mean, like this is a good time to make accounts too.
Yeah, if you want to have a box account, that's certainly a way to go. I should also mention they're doing the same thing on Lotro. Lord of the Rings Online also their content is free through August 31st. They have more expansions, I think. The list was longer, but they're doing some of the earlier expansions for 99 points as well. And there's the coupon code. It's a different code, but there's one there as well. So if you play Lotro, or if you don't, and you might want to in the future, now would be a good time to do some of that stuff.
Funny story. Actually, the Lotro code got leaked, and through that leak, our DDO coupon got figured out through Redditors. And so a lot of people entered the DDO free quest coupon prior to its official release, but instead of saying this code is not active or anything, it went through and everything worked fine. But Cordovan did say on the Wednesday live stream, don't do that. Because if the coupon's not coded in correctly yet or anything, you're gonna log in with all your TAR cache gone and 1 leg and 1 Reaper point and a sandwich.
I could use a sandwich.
What kind of sandwich?
Good question.
It's a really good one. It was made by your mom before she dropped you off at the quest, but you only have 1.
Yeah, it's a good point. As a general rule, I would definitely not recommend inputting a code until they release it like officially, because you're right. It could do some really nasty things. Probably the worst that would happen is it would apply. You would get counted as having used the code but not get anything for it, which would
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
cause some problems. And to be perfectly honest, my kind of personality is such that okay, well you broke it entering a code that wasn't actually released, and they will probably try to help you as best they can, but uh you might get broke permanently, and you might be SOL, and kind of your fault.
That's your fault.
So yeah, wait till they put stuff out officially. Right. So well, let's take this in bunches. What do you guys think about the free content through August 31st initiative?
Generally, I don't look gift horses in the mouth, so it's free. So thanks. That's great. I'm really happy to
Yeah.
get free stuff because eventually I'll probably drop my VIP status, and it'll be nice to know I have all the stuff at least up through today.
Mm-hmm.
That I can play. I can still keep playing, so
It's a
that's good.
lot of content. It's a
Yeah,
lot of facts. I did not do the
yeah.
math. I'm sure someone will eventually, but we should do the math and see how many points that is at some point.
It's a lot of points,
Yeah.
and I think business wise they're doing something really smart, and it's actually very commonplace right now. I've been seeing a lot of other places doing a lot of deals or slash old content free stuff. It seems to be a good way to thank the people for quarantine with their game and to try to keep them from stopping after the quarantine's off. But I also find it humorous that the 2 turbine expansions are the ones that we're getting a discount on, and not the ones that still have DDO market bundle packs still being sold. But anyway,
I mean,
I think it's great. It's great.
it's the newer expansions, and they do need to make money. Uh, I think hey, not giving us the 2 newest expansions in this, like Arkat said, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. They're still giving tons of content and points. I mean, it would take you a while to grind out the favor if you wanted to buy all the stuff. I would say that I think that they're. I don't know if it's a thing. I know that they have a huge influx of players, and I think that influx of players are buying other things, right? I have seen a couple people, raise some red flags of worry of, if you're giving away all of this content for free, does this mean the game's dying? No, is the short answer.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, remember, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you can buy and probably will want to buy. Classes, enhancement trees, races. I know some of these you can earn in game, but some of them you can't. Not to mention XP potions, Slayer potions, all of the stuff that's in the store people are buying. And a lot of that stuff is actually, those consumable stuff are cheaper than some of the other things. So people might tend to buy them more often than having to work up to races and stuff. But
Yeah, I definitely think all this free stuff, I mean, rather the free content that they're giving away, is definitely aimed toward driving more store sales. I mean, and that's fine. They're a private company. They need to make money. So more power
yeah,
to them.
Well, there's actually, for those people who are worried about SSG, Grand Theft Auto 5 is now free to download. Free. You can keep it for the download forever. Of course, there's in-game purchases and expansions for the online play. The newest Borderlands is free now. There's a lot of games that are just going completely free due to the time, and they're doing fine. Rockstar Game is not going down. SSG is actually, I was reading an article where it's actually thriving like it hadn't been in, let's say, 9 years. Probably not like in 2008. I think they won like Game of the Year when the free to play thing first launched or whatever. But they're doing almost as good as that. now, which is amazing. This is great. This is a good sign.
I have definitely been running into, particularly as I've been doing reincarnation projects, people who are there's a lot of people returning to the game because of this, new players, all sorts of those kind of things, that population is up. So
yeah, I'm getting tells every day like, hey, I just came back and you're on my friends list, who are you? And I'm like, you didn't know, you better call somebody.
Back in the days when Nimvind was a nobody.
Yeah.
So the other part about this is the update to VIP. Obviously, if we can now put in a code and get all of this content for free as a VIP, there is a natural question of, well, hey, you just took a lot of value away from my VIP status. They recognized this and implemented up to a plus 5% XP boost. This stacks with the 10% they already get. Yeah, so what do you guys think about that? Is this enough value? Is it the right direction? What do you think?
Well, VIP is not just quests. VIP is not having to buy a Hall of Heroes transfer, not buying the shared bank, not buying, it's not buying a lot of things.
Races.
Races, classes. It's also gives you some character slots. It's more than just content. If content is the reason why you went VIP, well, I got some news for you. Not only is there a coupon, but you could have easily grind the favor to get most of this content by now if you've been playing the game for 4 years. I know someone that's doing it. If the content is all that matters, right? But the thing is, it's not. If you're a completionist of any sort, that means you have access to premium classes or races, epic destinies, all things that you have to purchase. If you just do your VIP stuff, you just have you wake up. I woke up like this, not to quote Beyonce, but I mean, like it's a lot more than just quests. The thing is that a lot of people who are complaining that have VIP, it almost feels like they don't know what they have, right? It's to throw it out there, they have like a very millennial complaint, right? Like you're like, oh, you took away my, I'm like, an entitled argument, but it's not true. You're getting way more than anyone that has all the quests. You have a lot more than they can get, plus a lot of bonuses that run in the background, like the 10%, the new buddy bonus, all this stuff. I feel like, if they gave us any more, we'd be robbing them.
Maybe. Arkat?
It's a gift horse, and 5% experience is, or up to 5% more experience is nice. It doesn't particularly affect me because I am not much of a TR person, so I don't do a lot of replaying of all the early quests and trying to level up. So it's like I said, it's nice, but it didn't knock me out and make me swoon over the game.
So. Woe betide all those loner DDO VIP players, though. They're like, I get no bonus.
I mean, they can group with people, or
they're forcing me to group with people.
If they want to stay alone, what they can do is they can make 5 boxes. And
yes.
And put the code and have free content. I mean, they can do that too. There's a guy on Kyra that does that essentially. Yeah, I think that I like the bonus. I was kind of I don't know. I'm a little surprised that they went this route. I like this route better than the one I'm going to suggest as well, but because who doesn't like more XP? And I believe the VIP XP bonus applies to Reaper XP as well. If I'm not mistaken. So there is some benefit there, even if you're not TRing. I was a little bit surprised with the kind of the new random loot initiative and stuff that they didn't throw in a VIP loot bonus. I think that might have, maybe if VIPs got +10 to all their chests or something like that. I think that might have, just because that's what they were also working on. I was a little surprised that maybe that wasn't included in it.
You know what, Patrick? What would have been really great would have been a +5% better chance for VIPs to get named items
Yeah,
and chests.
that would be another way to go.
That would have been great.
I think they
that
could.
would help hardcore.
Yeah, I think they could do that. And whatnot. I mean, the XP boost will help in hardcore too. I assume that it's going to apply to hardcore. So that'll be nice, especially if you start talking about trying to get the Reaper XP benchmarks. A little 5% extra Reaper XP is not going to hurt anything. I do want to mention, I did see a few people speak out against this idea, the XP boost, partly because I think some of them just want everyone to get it. And I think I did see one or two people say something to the effect of, and I'm probably going to misquote it just a little bit, the idea that, hey, I'm in a static group. I'm not VIP. The other people in my group are. And it's hard enough as it is to keep up with those people. Which, sure, that makes sense. My kind of general response to that is, I think there's a good and a bad there, right? If you're in a static group, there are ways to get around that, and I understand that it's more of a pain for you than it would be for the rest of the people in your static group. I also think there's something to be said about, so this VIP bonus is desirable, which makes people want to be a VIP, which is kind of the point of having a VIP program, right? So it needs to be something that drives people to say, hey, I want to be a VIP. It's worth it to me. So there's kind of a give and a take there. So, I do kind of
I don't have any problem. I mean, I just don't see I understand the complaint, but I mean, SSG wants to promote VIP program. I mean, that's one way to do it. I mean, I don't see a damn thing wrong with that.
I have seen a few people also say that I'll be a VIP just for the XP bonus that I already have. This is great. So I mean that's the balance, right? Is not leaving everyone behind. And I was talking about this with a couple people in our guild, and one of the things that someone said was the idea that he appreciates that this is not a bonus that is exclusive to VIPs. And what he meant by that is anyone can get XP, right? It's not VIPs get this shiny piece of armor or something that, a gameplay mechanic, something to that effect. It's something that everyone can get anyways. VIPs just get it a little faster.
Right.
I think that's a good benchmark to stay in, right? So.
Sure. And you can still get, a full year of VIP for $99 a year. So that's what, it's $8 and something, $8.25 or whatever per month. I mean, is it really that big a deal? I mean, I guess to some people it might be, but I mean, really?
I think for SSG, the VIP subscription thing really comes into play for them in the sense that it's knowable income, right?
Yeah.
Like it's predictive. It's predictable. You kind of know how much you're going to have spread out over this time frame. Mm-hmm. I think we're also very clearly seeing with this initiative and these this statement that content is not the primary revenue driver for them, at least not right now. I mean, I think it is an important one to be sure, but more people playing the game and having access to more content is driving them to buy more things. I think is clearly kind of what we're seeing here.
Sure.
All right, let's talk about Update 46 Patch 2. So this is the release notes for this. And again, we kind of went through some of this. I'm not going to go through everything, but we'll stop in a couple points. If you guys have something you want to talk about, please stop me. The first,
TJ, sorry, just
Sure.
just remind me. Don't when we come up to the wave nerf.
Sure.
When we get the reflection of wave nerf, can we talk? There's some points I want to make about that. So
Absolutely.
Oh, they
don't
did
skip over
that.
that.
Yeah.
They did that this patch.
Yeah. Before we get there, I have a feeling that Arkat might want to say something about the new Warlock packs.
I haven't actually done. So the Carcerai Storm one, I mentioned this the last time. It easily has the best level 15 power of all of them, of the three new ones. So I was thinking that I would like to play Carcerai Pact Warlock, but I think instead I'm going to go with the Celestial, even though I have well, let's just go through each one individually, because when we get to the Celestial one, there's something I'd like to point out and so forth, and the Abyss one as well.
I
Oh,
figured you'd want to
in
talk about
general,
your lore oopsie from last show.
yeah. Yeah. Speaking of lore, I think there was a misconception out there that, well, I'm not talking about the mistake that I made in the last show, but there's a conception out there that warlock patrons, have to be some sort of bad or evil, like a demon or a devil, something like that. And that's not necessarily the case.
It just needs
Your
to be a
patron can
deity,
be
right? Or
what's
patron.
that?
It's just a
It's
patron, right?
got to
It's
be a
not a
patron. It's usually not a deity, because those would be for
right.
clerics.
That's true.
But it would be some sort of a very powerful entity from an alternate plane. So it could be a demon lord, or it could be like a solar or something from Saranya, or it could be it has to be some sort of a very powerful other extraplanar entity.
Did you want to correct the mistake? I wrote I down
Yes.
here. Okay.
Yeah. So the last time I was on, I made a big deal about the the Carcerai Pact thing, the Tartarus Pact, and I had gotten some wires crossed in my head, and I was thinking of not Tartarus, but I was thinking of Pandemonium, and Pandemonium is where is the bad thing there is wind and not cold. So I had criticized the pact for having to for referring to a windy place as opposed to a cold place. Well, Tartarus has 6 layers in it, and the very bottom layer, the 6th layer, is the one where it's really super duper cold. So I made a really horrible mistake in my lore, and I just wanted to apologize for that.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens.
I forgive you.
Thank you.
No, because I'm a lore maniac too. The whole thing about the warlock packs has actually been driving me a little bit insane.
Yeah.
Because you can't really make a I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm the great Arizona warlock. I made a pact with Arizona. Why am I making a pact with a plane? Like, it has to be an entity. Celestial pack, you can make a pact with a unicorn. Like, that's one of the examples that they give you, is like a unicorn can be like, hey, I don't really like you, but like, I'll give you some powers if you get the heck out of my forest. And you're like, great. Warlocks is also the male version of witchcraft. So that a lot of hags are warlocks. They make pacts with archfays and fiends, and they actually sell the most souls. And out of all the negative planes, like all the hells and demons and liches were like, hey, can we get a soul? And they're like, yeah, $5 or whatever. You know what I mean? So if you actually look at it in a more of a witchcraft thing, you realize let's go to the Salem witch hunts. Let's go to the witch hunt era, where they're like, these women have gained powers from blah, blah, blah by selling blah, blah, blah to blah, blah, blah. And they gain these weird powers. You kind of look at it like that. There's also another example given through a 5th edition D&D book, where the thing doesn't even have to be knowledgeable. Like, if it's a a Cthulhu monster from the deep old ones. He could be an eternal chains or an eternal slumber, sealed off in the great unknown, and you could be siphoning powers. That could be part of your pact. And he wakes up and realizes, oh wow, this little benign creature is like gaining my power in my sleep. Maybe you can unlock me. Maybe I can go to your world. We can hang out, and then maybe I'll eat your family. Who knows? There's the Warlock pack it has some specific boundaries, but it's not so it's pretty loose in those boundaries. But the fact that I can make a pact to a place, it's like I'm the main warlock. I made a pact with Maine. Look how exciting this I am.
Well, to be fair, the Celestial Pact does, that is an actual pact in 5th edition.
It also mirrors the Fiend
D&D,
pact really
so.
well. Right, because you have Fiend and Celestial, like
Sure.
that makes some sense.
Sure.
Great Old One and Fae, like those are
all real packs.
Yeah, they're also kind of generic too. They're not super specific. I think that of the new ones we got, Carcery seems to be much more like locale based. Abyssal,
that's a place too.
It is. I'm not sure. My brain though is kind of having trouble deciding if Abyssal is more location or is it kind of like another analog of Celestial and Fiend, in the sense that something is Abyssal. I don't know.
Well,
the Fiend Pact's not called the Hell Pact. The Fiend Pact is a Fiend Pact because you're making a pact with a Fiend.
A Fiend, yeah.
Well, I'll give you that one. I think at the end of the day, though, the thing that we've learned from the naming of the packs is there's almost certainly some outside influence on SSG about their naming conventions of their packs.
Yeah, because when I heard Negative Pack, I was like, oh, we're finally going to get Hexblade, which is a pact with a Ascension weapon from the Shadowfell, or, this and that. And then they're like, oh, yeah, here's your McDonald's pack. Comes with corporate sponsoring.
We'll go through some of this stuff. Again, we're not going to go through all of it. Some of it did change, some of it didn't. We want to make sure we hit all the bonus spells, because I think some of those changed. I'm not sure which ones did. So Carcery Storm, their spells are Merfolk's Blessing, Gust of Wind, Creeping Cold, Ice Storm, Nyax Biting Cold, and Greater Creeping Cold. So a lot of extra damage going on here, specifically cold damage.
Really nice.
But, yeah, it's pretty good. I think I will point out as a caution, remember, there's a lot of things that are immune to cold damage, and Warlocks don't have anything that's going to make them vulnerable to cold damage.
Right.
So Liches as a raid boss example, because there's a lot of Liches as raid bosses. So just kind of keep that in mind. Their special ability didn't change. It's the Frozen Footsteps, which is cold absorption. Has anyone seen if there's a graphic for that? I haven't seen.
No, I haven't seen
that. Hopefully, it's not in conflict with the bloody footprints.
That it would be cool.
It would be, but it would be in conflict, and that would be no.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if it can not override each other, that would be cool. But it would be hard to mix too.
Their level 15 ability is Absolute Zero. This is you lock an enemy in ice permanently. If they're fire, they're considered destroyed with no saving throw, which is kind of nice. I'm curious. Like it says, forever be trapped in solid ice. I still feel at some point this is gonna get changed to be like flesh to stone. Like I just don't. That's gonna happen, I think.
It's also an insta kill for fire creatures.
Yeah,
it's a little OP.
Well, I think the bigger thing is we think about like being in a raid fight and with respawning stuff, being able to just lock stuff in ice forever on one save, I think might break some raid mechanics. Right, like that there might be an issue there. We'll see.
You thinking too hot to handle?
No, actually, because I think that raid goes too fast, and the way stuff respawns in there is, like there's numerous ones. Now you could maybe like get a couple of the cogs over time, But I think that's maybe like too much stuff, but to an extent, yes. I was thinking more in terms of, maybe Master Artificer, where the orbs keep spawning. Um, Mark of Death has kind of the same, like, stuff keeps respawning. Maybe Doge to a lesser extent, although that's a little trickier because you have to be careful about what, some of the stuff you have to kill anyways.
But that's all free to play content now, so it's whatever.
Wow. That's
Nobody cares about that.
Anyways, um I'm pretty sure Flesh to Stone actually used to be a forever thing, and they changed it because of some of those issues, so we might see some of that come back. Celestial Pact. Their saves are Bless, Soundburst, Magic Circle against Evil, Prayer, Holy Aura, and Freedom of Movement.
Yeah, let's talk about Holy Aura and Freedom of Movement. Freedom of Movement is a 4th level cleric spell, and Holy Aura is an 8th level cleric spell. Why do you get Holy Aura before you get Freedom of Movement?
That's a good question.
It just makes no damn sense.
That's true. Probably should switch those.
Yeah, probably.
I'm trying to look to see if, because they were going to change Holy Aura. Is that in here? Yeah, it is. We'll talk about the change later. Yeah, there's a lot of asks here too to make these spells different. Particularly to get like a healing, the spell of healing cure or something to that effect.
Well, the Celestial Pact in 5th edition AD&D at their first level spell is a cure spell. So somebody in the DDO forums posted that Wizards of the Coast did not want warlocks to be able to use positive energy, to heal. And then of course, in 5th edition, they went ahead and gave warlocks, Celestial Pact warlocks, positive energy stuff to heal with. So I don't see as that as a legitimate reason anymore to not give at least Celestial Pact warlocks the ability to heal. So a mass cure moderate would have been awesome at like 6th level.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I actually am hugely surprised that they just didn't put the Celestial Pact for 5th edition in to DDO. Like they did, but they didn't. And the fact that a lot of the abilities, which aren't like so bad that they would have to make new animations and put so much work, and some of the spells are like most of the spells are in the game. So I'm like, just do that, and they're like, no. I'm like, why?
I will say that
I really feel like there's not enough pushback from I know that Wizards of the Coast gives them marching orders as far as lore stuff goes, but I mean, come on, somebody there at SSG couldn't have just said it. Listen, here's the thing. Why don't we just do it the way you have it? Why can't we just do it that way? And just push back a little bit. I mean, you don't have to piss off Wizards of the Coast, but I mean, for crying out loud, stick up for yourselves, SSG.
Yeah. And I don't like the whole conversation like, oh, they have to look at Neverwinter's online's interest. That's a 4th edition game, and no one likes it. So like, even if its graphics are better than DDO is like, even though it's kind of like a mystery edition mixed up of 3rd edition all the way to 5th, it's still way more D&D than any other D&D game I've ever played besides pen and paper.
I kind of look at, I think the spells for Celestial is probably the worst group of them. I mean, Holy Aura got a little better. We'll talk about. But like some of the other, especially looking at that Freedom of Movement spell, and the other ones are Irresistible Dance, Howl of Terror, which is kind of Power Word Kill, Rend the Soul, and Greater Keeping Cold. And Freedom of Movement is just so less powerful and useful than those other ones.
And there's so many items, Patrick, out there
that have freedom movement. Yeah,
have had freedom of movement on it, and some abilities like the monk in the Grandmaster of Flowers. No, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, there's
Sunbolt?
other
Let's
abilities
put
out there
Sunbolt
that
there
give you
instead
freedom
of
of movement. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah, I do feel like for instance, let's put you into the shoes of someone that will play a warlock. That person has premium content warlock. That person probably either earned it or bought it, which means that they have access to quests that will give you freedom of movement. We even have an event that will give you a potion for enough remnants that will give you freedom of movement for as long as the potion lasts. And when the timer of the potion is gone, you can re-click it just as your freedom of movement is gone. So, though thematically speaking, um, it's nice to have that utility, but they also kind of box themselves in with FOM in general as a spell to
Sure.
items.
Yeah, I think they should replace that with Sunbolt. It's not positive energy, and it's got something else going on there. And, a little bit of offense from that tree would be nice.
Yeah, Sunbolt would be a good compromise. I'd support that.
Their 15 ability ameliorates, attempt to obliterate an undead or a non-undead. It's kind of weird how I think non-undead or enemies who are not undead are instead terrorized and have their PRR and MRR reduced by 10 for 15 seconds.
A single undead, like
One.
at first, I thought it was gonna be kind of like a new turn undead, but if it's just a single one, it's
a single.
I
worthless.
think it's a targeted. I think it's a targeted thing. I haven't played it. I don't really know, but I think it is a targeted single.
I think
That's an
Celestial is
uppercase
the weakest of.
BS.
I think Celestial is the weakest of all of the packs, not just the new ones. Let's see. The Abyss. Let's see. The spells are Mage Armor, Spawn Screen, Halt Undead, which is pretty useful. Death Aura, which you'll need if you're going to become undead. Symbol of Pain, and Rend the Soul. Death Aura, Rend the Soul, and to a lesser extent Halt Undead are kind of the shining stars out of that bunch. And then, of course, their ability, you shroud yourself in the Abyss, which grants you Unholy Power. You get +2 Charisma, +10 negative healing amplification, and +10 negative spell power. You have 100% critical hit resistance. You're healed by negative energy and take 50% hit energy from positive healing from positive energy and take double damage from light. You're undead.
Is there an animation for this transformation, and does it stack with Enlightened Spirit?
The answer to your other question, the second question is no. It's a major form, so it does not stack with any of the major forms like Celestial Spirit or Wild Shape or other undead forms, stuff like that. This is an interesting one because it does give you some interesting options of being undead. I know some people in our guild are talking about a warlock tank using this to avoid things in Baba the Hut specifically, like horde wilting. I'm not sure that this. The problem I see here is that they're not going to have very good self healing, right? In terms of like one of the nice things about going undead in Pale Master is you have access to Death Aura, Lesser Death Aura,
and Greater Death Aura.
Greater Death Aura, and then the negative energy burst. Like you have a lot
Yeah.
more stuff going on there.
Yep.
This is only gonna have the one Death Aura spell, which is like if you want to go make a negative an undead tank, I think I'm not sure Warlock is necessarily the way to go. There's some stuff here that maybe, but if you're gonna make an undead kite or something, there's options here. I don't think it's as strong as maybe some people are thinking, but I mean it's interesting. I'll give them that.
Can you just flash a couple levels of cleric to get that negative energy burst on?
You're cutting out. Yeah, we'll see how it plays.
The negative energy burst slaw from the cleric might be interesting to spot. I think you only need like 3 or 4 levels of cleric for that.
Sure. Although if you're gonna make a warlock tank, then you're probably gonna want to get all the way up to level 20 for the capstone too. So I don't know.
But the most of the capstone, Enlightened Spirit capstone, will work with the if you're in the warlock, or rather Channel of the Abyss form. There's only part of the capstone that requires you to actually be in the celestial spirit form. So, or the enlightened, whatever it is, the 18th level one. So to actually be in that stance. So it's not complete. The capstone isn't completely nuked for you if you're in the
Yeah,
abyssal form.
we'll talk about that because there's some changes coming up here. All right, there's the Warlock packs. Holy, this might be longer than an hour and a half. Let's see, enhancements to talk about. Little nerf in here that they added. The level 6 and 12 core abilities from all 4 sorcerer elemental savant trees no longer grant a +1 maximum caster level with the chosen element. They're toning that damage down a little bit. Here's what we kind of alluded to a few times. Enlightened Spirit. So this is the Eldritch Aura tree. Enlightened Spirits. So it's the Aura tree in Warlocks. Celestial Spirit is the level 18 core ability. It's now major form toggle, and then all the other stuff is actually the same. It's just I think the only thing to change here is they added it's a major form toggle to clarify that it is exclusive to things like the abyssal form.
Yeah.
The big changes was the ultimate enlightenment, which is the capstone of Enlightened Spirit tree. In the past, what this was that all of this applied only when your celestial spirit form was active. The problem there being is now the major feature from one of the new packs you couldn't use with this capstone. The capstone is now +2 con, +2 charisma, +20% competence bonus to maximum hit points, universal +10 universal spell power, and 20 light spell power. You just get that now. You don't have to be in any form whatsoever. Additionally, now when your Eldritch Aura is enabled, so not a form, the Aura, you gain full base attack bonus, +10 melee power, and +10 range power. That also had previously been tied to the Celestial Spirit. So the major form is no longer part of it. They pulled. Initially, they were going to put all of this tied to the Aura, which a few of us, including myself, really spoke against, just because that essentially says that if you want this capstone, you have to play in the Aura, and to me, that's paramount with telling me how to play my Warlock. That's like telling me to build a fighter and only use a two-handed weapon or something like that, right? Which is problematic. So most of what got tied into the Aura is stuff that you would only really be using if you were using an Aura, right? Because then you would be using weapons, so the melee and range power. The base attack bonus also means that you would lose a little bit of PRR based on your armor, I believe. Although I think that's not a huge deal in this case, but
yeah, it's that little bit you get from having a full base attack bonus. So.
Yeah, I don't know what that number actually is, but it's not. I don't think it's super significant in the grand scheme of things. Still better than having to be in the Aura for the bonus to hit points and spell power and light spell power. So I am appeased. Let's see. Shroud of the Zombie got nerfed specifically for ranged. Really took a lot of hit out of the range stuff there. And I think also reduced the % damage boost just in general. Let's see. Divine Crusaders confront any foe now properly enforces 2-second cooldown. Steelstar wrote about this. He said it's always been meant to have a short cooldown. It's been its ability data since day one. However, a bug in the ability's implementation caused a crash server-side on every use, and on the other end of that crash, the cooldown wasn't being enforced. They fixed the crash, basically. So this had less to do with balance and more to do with performance than anything else, but it does also fix a bug. What was the other thing that you wanted to talk about?
When we get to Wave.
Wave, right, okay. Let's see, I think... I don't think this was when we talked about it last. House Fjarlin favor buff spells can now be taken in a single purchase. All the resistance energy spells can also be purchased together. That's kind of nice.
That's a nice little quality of life improvement.
I love it.
Especially if you're on hardcore, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's see. Slicing blow got changed. We talked about that last time. Random loot system. Let's stop here. We're not going to go through all the stuff that changed in the random loot. But we will talk about the Jewel of Fortune to Treasure Hunter elixirs separately. Have seen some kind of fun new stuff in the random loot. Still early on, still kind of seeing new stuff, and not looking at stuff as closely as maybe as I should. But I have seen some rings with some more slot stuff. So that's kind of fun to augment slots.
I just saw a level 5 ring with Magma Surge Guard.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as powerful as the green steel version, but at level 5, but it's interesting.
I did see an Earth Grab Guard ring as well. So there's some fun new stuff that's out there. I think there are. I did see a thread, but I didn't really look in it about some things that are maybe not what they're supposed to be. So we'll see that. And I think I was actually getting like level 15 loot out of a level 14 quest, but that might have been because I ran it on Elite. I'm not sure. But I think in general it seems to be going pretty well.
One of the things that kind of bugged me, and it bugged a few other people on the forums anyway, is it was a little mini discussion regarding quarterstaffs and
the blue shine thing.
Linabelle made this ridiculous mistake where she did a statement where that wooden quarterstaffs don't get that oozes don't affect wooden quarterstaves, and like me and like 3 or 4 other people just immediately jumped on her and like, no, I mean, wooden quarterstaffs get eaten by oozes just as easily as
they don't get eaten
the
by
metallic
rust monsters.
They don't get eaten by rust monsters, right. but the context was oozes. We were talking about oozes, and so she copped to the mistake, and I think she agreed to make blue shine available to quarterstaves, which okay, that would certainly help.
Yeah, I believe different oozes actually have different ranges of acidity, like what they can eat. But generally speaking, correct. Yeah. Also, when the whole blue shine and all that thing got brought up, I was like, I point my finger up. I'm like, actually, blue shine was a spell introduced in 2nd edition D&D, and the item has a material, like let's say silver, and you do blue shine to it. It's not a material on itself. And she's like, wait, I didn't hear anything you said. I'm making it, and I'm like, but, and then so I put my lower finger up, and then it got, but now it's a thing. It's a welcome to blue shine.
Yeah.
It is now material.
I'm okay with it.
Bracket. Wait, why we make Burger King a material? Let's just go crazy.
Yeah, they should have made quarterstaffs be able to drop in crystal form.
Polyurethane.
There was an issue with crystal, and I don't remember what it was. Why they didn't want to go crystal, but
well, there was crystal was kind of archaic how it was coded in. And so there's very, very rare and very few occurrences where actually we take crystal damage, but it's in very old content. It only comes really into the whole relevancy screen in Dreaming Dark stuff, where the quarry is only affected by crystals. So there's still very old crystal weapons, and of course the Stealer of Souls, but generally it's a very old part of the game.
The one thing we do want to talk about with the random loot changes is the changes to Jewel of Fortune and Treasure Hunter elixirs. As far as I can tell, the transferring the conversion from jewels to Treasure Hunter elixirs working great, working fine. I had no problems doing that. Unfortunately, they're not applying the buff anymore. The Treasure Hunter elixirs aren't applying a buff anymore.
It's to the small. It's either to the lesser ones or the.
No, when you drink one, my understanding is if you drink one of any kind, it doesn't even apply the buff.
Of any kind.
Of any kind. That's my understanding.
I thought it was just the. I thought it was just like the little
What you're
5%ers or the
talking
minor
about,
ones.
the lesser ones apparently possibly have not ever worked. Like they
Oh
give you
yeah,
the
okay,
buff,
you're
but
right.
the actual, like, the buff would show up on your bar, but it wasn't actually doing anything.
Yeah, you're right.
Eee.
That's what I was thinking of.
So Linabelle is working on fixing both of those problems. Let's see. I think that was gonna. So you want to talk about not crushing wave, but reflection of wave?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and talk. We can talk about that now. We'll talk about spiral afterwards.
Okay, so
Oh wait, let me read the note real quick. It's reflection of waves, improved water elemental form. Now grants 5% exceptional cold spell critical damage instead of 20% exceptional cold spell critical chance.
that's what I wanted to address.
Yeah.
So apparently at some point, well, apparently in the past, that exceptional spell lore was not actually typed as exceptional. It was some sort of other type, whether it was untyped or I don't know, a profane type, or it was something other than exceptional because and I did some research on this because it stacked with the esoteric initiate, the armor orders garb, which is typed a 15% exceptional universal spell lore. So if you had the orders garb and the reflection of wave, you got 35% spell increase spell lore, critical chance to all your all the spells you did. So in addition, not only did Linabelle knock that down to 5%, but she also typed it as exceptional.
Well, I
Uh,
want to make a note here. It's now critical damage, not
yeah,
critical chance.
right, exactly. Well, that's yeah, exactly.
So there's a
So
lot of things
it's now
happening there.
well, okay. So here's the thing. When and here's how it was tested. When you when you when you equip both the 15% of orders garb exceptional universal spell lore. So that's the whatever that is. It's the same one. That's the only one you see now. So if you had a legendary, or rather the reflection of wave equipped, you had a, let's just say you've had no other spell lore. So your spell lore went down from 35 to 15%. So you've lost a full 20% of universal spell lore
Yep.
there, and it seems to me probably
Well,
what
sorry,
would have been
cold spell
better.
lore, not universal.
It's universal, so so they all went down 20%. So it seems to me the better way to have done it was to do one or the other. Either fix the make it an exceptional, so that that 20% from wave overlaps the 15%, not stacked with, but overlaps the uh, um, the 15% from orders garb, or reduce the 20% to 15% on wave, but leave it as a stacking bonus so that you still get 20%. So that 5% of stacking adds to the 15 exceptional of orders garb, and you still get you'd still get a benefit from both. So either way, it could have been done better either way, but
Sure.
instead she changed them both, and now she's made the one you get from reflection of wave non-existent at all, unless you don't have any other exceptional universal spell lore from anything else. Then, in which case, you don't only end up with a total of 5%,
So I'm a little
which is
confused because a lot of
not
what you're saying
impressive.
is not consistent with what I'm reading. Which, if that's true, then that means that there's more bugs going on here. Because what this is saying is it was supposed to be 20% exceptional cold spell critical chance. That's what it was supposed to be. it wasn't. That exceptional was not typed right. You keep
Right.
saying it's universal, so
Okay, so
but
orders
this says
garb is
orders
orders
garb is
garb is
universal.
universal.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is
so
not. This says it's supposed to be
right,
cold
but
spell.
there's right, so they're still exceptional. I mean, but they're both exceptional, right? So they wouldn't stack with each other.
Possibly, because my understanding is exceptional universal does stack with exceptional element,
But it
just like
doesn't. But it doesn't.
I haven't
Not anymore.
tested.
I mean,
Well,
at
no.
least as far as
So
legendary wave and
forget the item. Forget the items. Okay.
Yeah.
There's universal power and critical chance and stuff. And my understanding is universal power, universal critical chance, potentially critical damage as well. That stacks with a element specific type, right? Because
Okay.
universal stacks on top of it. I'm not sure, but that may be why some people are saying this wasn't typed exceptional. It may be a misunderstanding of exceptional universal should stack with exceptional cold or
Okay.
exceptional fire. I don't
So
know, but that's
so
my
universal,
understanding.
but universal is never stacked with specific. I'll give you an example.
Universal spell power does.
No, because potency is universal.
No. I do not believe that. I believe I looked at this because there was a discussion that was happening, and
it's pretty simple. Like, why would you have potency if you have universal spell power? They're typed of potency's a flat equipment boost.
You're breaking up again. My understanding is potency is an equipment bonus to each spell power. It is.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, but I was breaking up.
Yeah, it is. Potency is a bonus to all spell powers. It is not a universal spell power bonus.
So you're telling me that universal is a type similar to how an enhancement bonus, a quality bonus,
No, I'm telling you that
bonus.
I'm saying that universal is like fire or acid or positive, except it applies to all of them. Like similar to how for AC you have an armor bonus and a shield bonus. That's not.
Yes.
That's still the wrong. Sorry, that's the wrong direction. Forget that. I am not. I'm going to preface this by saying I am not great at building casters. It is easily the weakest part of my building capacity. Not that I'm a great builder to begin with, but my understanding is if you have a bonus, a equipment bonus to fire spell power, and an equipment bonus to universal spell power, those two stack.
And my contention is that they don't.
I can't speak greatly to this. I can only tell you the information that I've understood. But my understanding is universal spell power is a separate channel that then applies to all of the spell powers.
Well, that's true.
But it doesn't add it specific. It doesn't add it in the same way, right? An equipment bonus of 20 to fire spell power does not translate or.
What you're suggesting, Patrick, is that there is a universal. So let's say there's a plus 208 to universal spell power.
Yes.
That would add plus 208 to all the different spell powers,
correct,
whether it's positive or whatever. And if the way that you're thinking about it means that universal spell power is some sort of a bonus, let's call it an enhancement bonus, just for the sake of the argument.
Well, now you're typing the bonus, which is where I got in trouble.
Well, I'm not doing that on purpose. If it that therefore there would be and the natural way to go on think about it from there is that there would be could be a plus 104 insightful bonus to universal spell power, and then from there a plus 52 quality bonus to universal spell power.
You could have all of these, yes.
But there isn't. It's only universal. It's only something added to universal spell power.
So like I can say is my understanding is universal spell power applies to on top of your
The
normal
individual
spell.
spell
Yes.
powers. And I don't think that's accurate.
Well, according to DDO, that's pretty much how it works. Universal spell power is separate and stacking source of spell power. Its stacking nature makes it particularly attractive. For example, exceptional universal spell power found in the Barovian robe stacked with exceptional devotion on Death Warden.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
I believe the exceptional universal from the Barovian robes is very similar to the esoteric set.
Yeah, the esoteric set says specifically exceptional bonus to universal spell power and universal spell lore.
Okay.
Potency.
Well,
I'm
very
trying to
good.
find a good trying to find an item that had potency, but I wasn't having a lot of luck in that regard quickly. But that is my understanding, is that those things do stack because they're applying to different pieces or different.
I think what confuses a lot of people is when you hover over your spell power, there's an actual separate part that just says universal, and it makes it look like it's a general thing.
Yeah, that's my understanding of how it works.
All right. Well, then let's go back to Order's Garb and Reflection of Wave.
So if my understanding is correct, what it was doing is it was giving you a 20% exceptional cold spell crit chance, which even if correctly typed would still stack with the esoteric set. Because it's 20% exceptional to cold, and then you would add the 15% from the universal.
Okay. If that's the case, and she knocked it down to, and Linabelle, beg your pardon, if Linabelle knocked it down to 5%, then it would therefore stack with the Order's Garb.
Yes.
And that would give you a total of plus 20%. So 15% plus the 5%. Then something is still wrong, because people are only getting the 15%.
Well, it's not critical chance anymore. It's now critical damage. When they changed it, this change was changed to two things. One is the number, two is the bonus, right? It went from 20% to 5%.
Right.
It's a completely different bonus now, right? It was 20% exceptional cold critical chance. Now it is 5% exceptional cold critical damage.
Oh, okay. Well, then
it's not chance, it's
that's
damage.
the part that I missed. So then the person that I was working with was reading the number. It wasn't looking at the critical damage piece, was only looking at the critical chance piece, not the critical damage piece. Oh.
So that's really important to understand this change, is that it's critical damage.
Okay.
It's no longer critical chance at all.
Okay.
You get, it's really easy to get caught up here because it's percent exceptional cold spell critical. That last word changed from damage to chance as well.
Got it. Okay. That I missed that, and my bad.
This was a hot one. It went side by side with the Sork nerf, and I actually learned a lot about the wave in this discussion. Is that it was actually a part of an initiative to make staves good again. Like, you know how a lot of casters, they would have 2 casting sticks or an orb and a casting stick and all that. Well, like the staves from Killing Time are the staves that can be upgraded in Killing Time. Even were made to be like, hey, you can do staves too, and it's going to be great and awesome. And they put a little too much ketchup on them that wave, that reflection of the wave. They put a little too much. But the thing is that Sorks, now that I know that the Sork nerf went live, Sorks were burning way too hot. They were laying it down hardcore at the end game spectrum, so they changed it around so it should still progress pretty strong, but not outshining anything else.
I didn't think they really nerfed Sorks that much, because specific to Sorks, they only lost 2 maximum caster level.
Yeah.
The wave got this wave was a pretty big change. That I mean, that's only gonna really impact cold. But the other one was Spiral, which we haven't talked about yet. So Spiral, the voice of elements, now randomly selects its starting element, and equipping it and unequipping it will restart the cycle by clearing any active Spiral buffs on you. That means that when you unequip it, you lose the buff that's on it. It also no longer spams your combat log or uses floaty text when its buffs are applied. It is much less likely to cause lag when equipped. There's a couple of things here. Well, so Linabelle said, sadly, Spiral needed to change due to how it would interact when equipped repeatedly, therefore keeping the element set to fire. So what he's saying is when you equipped Spiral, it applied the fire buff first every single time.
Okay, that's my question. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So this also, the script was causing performance issues. Additionally, there were issues with performance related to switching weapons. So there's a whole bunch of stuff kind of stacking in on itself.
Okay.
What Linabelle did, to my understanding here, is that cleaned up the scripting and the effect being applied. So a bunch of that stuff is no longer like really nasty and performance issuey. Separately, they also did some work to address switching weapons as a performance issue. The other thing that happened here is rather than... So what people were doing is they would switch to Spiral, get the fire buff, switch back to their main weapon set. In an environment where switching weapons is lag-inducing, that was a problem. Also, from a design perspective, that's not the desired intent, right? The intent here was that you would have this thing and it would kind of rotate through different elements. Now, instead of always starting on fire, it starts on a random element. Also, if you unequip it, you lose the buff. Which,
right, and that makes sense.
A lot of people are calling this a nerf. I think it's actually a cleanup of the mechanic, right? Like,
yeah, it's a fix of the item.
Someone also said, I saw something. Someone said something to the effect of, "Why can't we have fun, interesting items?" I said, "Well, they try to do that, and then you get something like Spiral that has this fun, interesting effect, but because of the way that it works, people then try to exploit it, and right? So like, this is fun and interesting, but it's clearly not intended that you equip this item and dequip it to get a specific buff every single time, right? Like that's not the intended mechanic and gameplay of that item. So, but between that and the reflection of wave change and the maximum cash level, there's a bit of an outcry right now about Sork nerfing. I don't know how much of it's really... They're still powerful.
I don't know how much losing those 2 levels, in the core, those 2 additional caster levels. I don't know how much of a nerf that really is.
It was really hotly debated on the Discord. But to be honest, I don't think it would matter much. Like, and I still will never think that the change matters. Like, you know how many things get nerfed in this game every year? And we're like, I'm done. Oh, you messed up, improved precise shot. You ruined your own game. My $100 is going elsewhere. Oh, my heart. Sorry. It's silly.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a lot of... I think they're still performing pretty well. I'm a little surprised that there's not also some stuff kind of addressing Alchemist, because they seem to be pretty nuke happy as well. We'll see. I'm also not entirely sure that the issue with some of this is the things that they changed, because I think esoteric... I mean, one piece of armor is applying a plus 30 to all spell power and exceptional lore, 15% exceptional lore. That's a lot. to be adding just from one item, and maybe we might see some nerfing of that item too in the future, just to bring the numbers
Well,
down. So, but I don't know.
it's a piece of cloth. I mean, if there was a light armor version of that armor for the Esoteric Initiate set, then you might think about nerfing it because,
There's a docent.
but it's a piece of cloth, and the MRR on that, the best it's ever going to have is 90%, or rather 90 with the Nystal set. So I don't know how much you really want to nerf that.
I mean, there's a docent. Although I will say the docent is has less on it. The numbers are a little lower on the docent, probably for that reason explicitly. But
Yeah, spell crits were getting crazy in this game.
I mean, you can get spell crit over 100% now.
Yeah, I see that people getting 100% on critical chance, and I'm like, that's just nuts.
A little bit. I think the numbers and some of that stuff is kind of what needs to get checked, which they did a little bit with the reflection of wave, but I don't know that the maximum cash level is the way to do that. I think it's the critical damage that might be where it's getting a little out of whack, especially if you can. I question the wisdom of having critical chance being over 100% and that being a reachable goal. I would say there almost needs to be a cap of 75% critical chance. Which
I mean, I might even go those 50.
I don't know. It's tough to say. Balance is a tricky thing, and I do not spend the time to understand it well, to be honest. But
yeah, that's the big thing about this game is that being based on a Dungeons and Dragons, right? There's a lot of lore and stuff, but of course it's an MMORPG. So like a lot of the things in this game, we're just like, okay, should we do something fun for the pen and paper players, or should we balance mechanics? You can't the lore and the mechanics of this game. They're not mixable ingredients. It turns out,
tricky.
And kind of fun and balance seems kind of at odds at times.
Well, I mean, again, going back to the spiral, that why can't we have fun, interesting items? We did. We had Spiral. It wasn't implemented great, and people exploited that implementation. And then it got fixed to be implemented like how it should be in the first place, and now people are upset. Why can't we have fun items? Well, you do. You just don't like it now because the implementation is not completely advantageous to you. You can't exploit it.
The throwing dagger that came out of the Ravenloft raids is pretty fun, though. It has that random card effect. And there's fun items out there. You just need to stop complaining about the ones that are getting nerfed.
Well, I think my criticism of the criticism is, why can't we have fun things? You're not asking for fun things. You're asking for things that you can like exploitively maximize power, right? Fun things are not, in my mind, things that are fun generally are not synonymous with the most powerful thing you can get, right? Like,
yeah,
sure.
Like there's usually an opposition there, a tension there. But anyways,
yeah, like Merlin Spoon is incredibly fun, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
I thought the Ear Dweller; those items are fun. The Merlin Spoon, the Ear Dweller,
and the Chaosian Ear Dweller. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Going back to the notes, they did this I think was new. Items that provide a scaling bonus to speed and striding now begin at 15% rather than 5% and gradually increase to a maximum of 30. Great.
This is so good. I was leveling up one of my alternate accounts to get the DDO points for an expansion, right? And I pulled a hand axe. It was a Pillmaster, but the hand axe had 15% striding, 1% melee speed. I'm like, oh, this is my offhand weapon. Yeah, this is my Cadillac of Porthos.
Let's see. Other stuff here. I think this is Soul Survivor is now reopened. It has stayed reopened so far.
For now.
Yeah. Gatekeeper's Grove now has a general vendor. It's also, you can teleport there. That's great. Let's see. Spells that are considered temporary item enchantments, such as deadly weapons, no longer override temporary buffs such as Blessed Blades in one cut. You can still only have one temporary item enhancement at a time. So that's kind of a bug fix Holy Aura is now allies and yourself gain a +4 sacred bonus to AC, saves, immunity to charms and mental compulsions for a minute per caster level. Nearby enemies must make a 402 save or be blinded. The big change here, some of the numbers changed a little bit, but the big thing there is 1 minute per caster level, as opposed to the 5 seconds that it was. Because even fully extended, I think you could only get it up to about 5 minutes.
Now, if we can only convince casters to cast it when moms are around.
Maybe. I think people are going to recognize it more as a buff than an offensive thing.
Yeah, that blinding effect should just be ripped off there.
Yep.
I mean, no one's using it for that.
The last thing that we want to talk about is Reaper Tree optimizations has been done to make weapon swapping and other certain actions more efficient. We talked about this a little bit in last time and on Ask the Devs, and how that the big change here is how your character holds on to that information. Alas, apparently we're not holding on to that information very well, because across the board people have lost Reaper hit points. The hit points they get from the Reaper enhancer trees. My own personal experience is there may be a weird application of this, because I think up until I was loving a character, and up until through level 15 it seemed to be fine. I still was getting I was getting a couple hundred hit points when I'd go in. When I hit level 16, I stopped getting a couple hundred hit points, and my hit points actually became lower by about 150.
Yikes.
Wow.
So there may actually be a weird level thing there, or maybe it's because I hadn't hit that benchmark. I don't know. This is on a fast track for a fix. They couldn't get it in for the weekend, unfortunately. So hopefully it'll be coming in. Yeah, hopefully that's coming soon. Because it is a pretty big, especially when you have a lot of a lot of points in the tree. There's a big difference. So yeah, the big most I think of the patches is pretty good. But I think it's fair to say that this is not by any means. It's probably the dirtiest patch we've gotten in a while in terms of the Reaper hit points being bugged and the treasure hunting boost not applying, because those were two of the major features of this patch, and they're not working correctly. Especially treasure hunters elixirs, because that's things people actually buy too, and that not applying.
Sure.
So.
Well, it struck me as odd that that they implemented the patch so quickly. Usually they usually have at least according to my memory, and which could be faulty, but it seems like they normally have at least 2 iterations of
It
Lamania.
Depends. I think my take on the Lamania cycle is it in large part depends on several factors. One is what kind of impact they're having on the game. And two, I mean, obviously how well it goes in Lamania. And kind of also where their development cycle is. I would say that I am not at all surprised that this one was only on Lamania once. The points that broke were the hit points and the treasure hunter boost. I think the treasure hunter boost is I almost want to say is the more concerning, just because people could buy stuff and then not get the bonus, and I don't know if they're going to be able to retroactively apply that boost, and what that's going to look like. That's a concern for me. But other than that, it's not touching a lot of systems that are highly volatile and touchy, if that makes sense. It's not introducing a new class and having to do a lot of balancing checks and stuff. So it has not become uncommon, especially for patches, to have one preview on Lamania and then it hits live.
Okay.
But it tends to depend on what's being released, I think, is kind of the thing.
This is a really busy year for them too. It's like
True.
Constantly scrambling to get things out and on schedule this year.
I think we're kind of at the point where content tends to be the thing that drives multiple iterations on Lamania, because they'll put it on Lamania and see to make sure that it's not broke. I did see someone mention that the Reaper hit points thing was broken on Lamania, but I only saw one instance of that mentioned. So I'm not sure. Of course, Lamania is also a bad place to test that because people don't have a lot of Reaper points on Lamania.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I don't think there's actually a mechanism to get Reaper XP on Lamania either. So that would have been a hard thing to test. But I think that this stuff all went on Lamania, and the world didn't set on fire and crash and stuff, right? We can't test the hit points, so that's something that we couldn't test. But the trees and stuff are not completely borked and stuff like that. So I don't know. Let's see. Other things to mention. Lord of Blades is currently closed. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we all blame you, Patrick.
It's not. Actually,
I mean, seriously,
it's
why
not
did you
actually
send
that far.
an email to Cordovan to let him know? I mean, Christ, let him find out by looking at the forum.
So
Thanks a lot, Patrick.
Legendary Lord of Blades was accidentally released in an unfinished state. That's the official stance from Standing Stone Games. You can get into Legendary Lord of Blades, and me and some people in my guild found out. So we went in and had a lot of fun. It was pretty much what I expected a little bit. There's not a lot of changes to the actual raid. Again, it's unfinished, which is good because there wasn't a chest at the end. But we did record it, and then I posted those videos on the forums. So if you want to go look at what Legendary Lord of Blades looks like right now, you can do that. I'll warn you, he hits like a Mack truck. So.
And he has a bajillion hit points.
He does have a lot of hit points. But if you want an early peek at that thing, we'll link it in the show notes so you can go take a look at that. It was a lot of fun. It was an enjoyable evening of raiding activity. So, let's see, bonus days, double combinations of Valor through June 11th. The sales, of course, don't forget that you can get Menace to the Underdark and Shadowfell Conspiracy for 99 points. The sale is bigger is better, so it's 25% off of 100 stacks of Gold Seal elixirs, superior spell point potions, 25 stacks of Sovereign Guild Renown elixirs, and Colossal Ingredient and Augment bags through June 11th. You can also, with the coupon code AWAYEVIL, get 5 lasting potions of protection from evil plus 2. So it's kind of a nice little thing there. Right. That will bring us to community news. So the 384th Chronicle, we got a shout out for our Ask the Devs episode. MMORPG Tips has created a DDO leveling guide, so you can check that out if you like. The guild haul for the week. Legends of Undermountain is a level 65 guild on Sarlona that works to be adventurous and helpful. The guild gets together most evenings in the Eastern Time Zone and is always looking for new and veteran players. You can contact Cassandra or Arcia in-game to learn more. Question for the week. What is your favorite quest in the game? Man, that's a loaded question. Favorite quest in the game?
Just to be a smart ass, I said Too Hot to Handle, even though I hate it.
Definitely not my favorite. I mean, does quest include raid? I still love Master Arvster and Lord of Blades are still two of my favorites. Product Nemesis is really good too. I like the strategy and stuff involved in there.
Yeah, PN is fun.
I like that last quest in Sharn Syndicate Chain.
Come out and slay.
Yeah, I really like that one.
DDO Players News, considered a year without Gen Con and more. If you haven't heard, Gen Con 2020 has been canceled, like so many things. DDO Stream is your first stop to DDO on Twitch. This week, Psycho Blonde makes her first tank. Brighter Days Ahead declares they aren't pirates. Alex and Lynn headed to the desert. Also on Twitch, Nubacabra ran High Reaper. Voodoo Spice taught the Titan raid. And, oh boy, Hoyer Sans Fromage does a French language stream. Oh, I should have read the French language part first before I tried to say it in German. With a German thinking. I apologize. I have no experience speaking French, so. Let's see. On YouTube, Lazy Peon reviewed DDO, Super Bits and Bob ran Korthos, and Geek Dragon went to the Catacombs, and Grimord reached triple completionist. Congratulations. Let's see. The 385th Chronicle. Axel discussed the free quest coupon and update 46 patch 2, if you like another opinion on some of that stuff. Siegfried Trent is now streaming DDO. You can find him on DDO stream on Saturday morning. Siegfried used to host DDOcast. The guild for the week, Blood of Heroes, is a friendly guild level 74 on Thalanis that is laid back and looking for new and experienced players to quest with. Guild is most active on weekends and live live in the Eastern time zone. You can contact Helixa or Daleth in game for more. Comment for the week: the most checked out book in the Stormreach library is.
I got a good one for this, but you guys go.
I don't know. I might have one better for you. Idiot's Guide to Spell Power.
That would be a good one. Now, I said 50 Shades of Maybar.
That's good. Idiot's Guide to Stacking would probably just be more generically.
Well, that's everybody could use that one.
I know, right?
Well, my personal favorite one is the Ravaging Tales of Nimvind Dirgesinger.
Maybe. Let's see. We got a shout out for Dito Kasplat, Trying to Survive. I think that was our not great attempt at Ghost of Perdition on R5, including myself teleporting out by accident. I have since moved my gibbers to a different bar. I keep my teleports on a hidden bar, but it's the same bar that my gibbers blade is on. So I had turned gibbers, and then I went to heal someone, not realizing that was now a teleport option, and out I went.
I had done that so many times; it's so funny.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Let's see. DDO streams, you can check out DDOPL, Doubles Its Trouble, D&D Night, ran Dungeons of the Mad Mage Tabletop, and Doug Glendower is a little late. For Twitch, Strimtom got older, Samus Grobo prepared to reincarnate, and SWE Cookie has cookies. I would hope so with that name. On YouTube, Super Bits and Bobs does a newbie first life summary. Cheat Shaman has a surprising review, and Nubacabra's solos Heroic Abbot on Elite. That's impressive. Heroic Abbot is not an easy...
No.
It's more blind luck than anything else, just from the
there's some luck.
Goggles. There's ways to get around some of that, like I would imagine being able to abundant step and any of those kind of zoom forward tricks would be very helpful for the goggles section, but you also have to still do it twice. So
you just have to get lucky.
Yeah.
Because once you get the goggles on one side, and if you get lucky to be teleported on the other side, you have the goggles for that side.
It's true. But you still got to get across it once, which is the trick. Let's see. Where were we? That
Order of Syncletica.
Yeah, they have returned, so you can read that blog. That was a very monk-themed blog, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that guy did a lot with monks, and I enjoyed it.
It's good to see him
glad
back.
He's back.
Yeah. Mickey Chronicles are rating. So week 175. So yeehaw there. And that'll kind of cover it there. Not really anything to shout out for DDOcast news or D&D Night and DDO stream. It's all the same stuff. I want to run through a little bit of lightning posts. Cause I'm trying to run through it quick because we are going a little longer than I anticipated. Which just means we're having a great conversation, right? Zatsy Jeff said he disagreed with Arkat's point about the Warlock packs not being lore-friendly. If they were named after the Eberron lore, then there would be no Forgotten Realms Warlocks allowed, because a Realms Warlock would not be lore-friendly. It seems to me that it makes more sense to keep them vague like they did, so they are not tied to a certain lore. That's a decent point. I'm not lore enough to say whether or not they are or not, though.
I have a bone to pick with that statement, actually.
Go for it.
A lot of people think that Eberron's just a prime material plane, so the Feywild and all that's around. I'm like, well, no, it's not a prime material plane. It's three primordials dead on top of each other. Things are as strong as the creation gods. And matter of fact, one of their dead carcasses actually protects it and cuts it off from all the. Well, there is a lore way to get around this. You have to damage the Cerberus protection ring. Then you can have things like Asmodeus and the nine hells and uh, Feywild come in. Eberron actually is so protected, and it's like Australia. You know, it has marsupial plains. It has Thelanis instead of the Feywild. It has Delure. See, he gets it.
Marsupial plains, nice.
Yeah, it has its own planes. Fernia, the plane of fire, it doesn't have the elemental plane of fire. It has Fernia. It has its own plane of war. It's called Shavrath. There's a plane of light, Iranian. But it doesn't have the Feywild. It doesn't have the Shadowfell. But Eberron, our Eberron, is DM'd by SSG and at one point Turbine. And they did, in fact, because all pen and paper games in Eberron are based in a little time after the last war. That's the whole concept of Eberron. Is Eberron just had this huge last war that ended in a mysterious, huge continental bombing. So obviously, we picked up from there. Lolth damaged the protective Cerberus ring. The Codex of Multiplanes has added a connection to the multiplanes. So there is some more things in there. But the fact is, those are recent events. The abyss isn't just gonna just and oh my yeah.
This is an Eberron. I hate to say it, but this is an Eberron game, and if telling me that it shouldn't be Maybar Pact is equivalent to, to saying that that there should be an abyss, there shouldn't be an Abyss Pact. I mean, if this guy, if DJ Tazzy Jeff's point is that Abyss is more generic, well, that's incorrect. The Abyss is very specific to certain D&D campaigns like Forgotten Realms. And there is no Abyss in Eberron, so it's two sides of the same coin. So I'm just as valid as saying that this should be an Eberron focused game, and as he is about saying that, for example, on his point, that it should be a
Generic.
what do you call it, a generic or in this case, using the Abyss, a Forgotten Realms centered
Sure.
game. So
My approach to lore,
neither of us are wrong.
My approach to lore has always been, I'm going to follow this lore until I don't. That's how I DM.
And that's well, and that's pretty much SSG Turbine / SSG has pretty much done the same thing.
I mean, at a certain point, you either just don't know, like I don't know lore that well, and I'm not interested in studying for hours on end lore so I can run a game. I'd rather just have fun and run a game. See, Fuzzy Duck wrote in. He says, I think Melee do have a few crowd control options. It's nice that stuff like Trip and Stunning Blow can hit multiple enemies now with Strike Through for two-handers, but I do think that some of those special attacks should be expanded a little to work with other stats too, so they can have some extra versatility to work with non-fighter builds. So like Trip can use the highest of Strength or Dexterity. Yeah, they have expanded. I will say that they have expanded some of these abilities a little bit in the sense that like the Paladin Knight of the Chalice Tree has a bunch of stuff that keys off of Sunder. I think Master Maker might also have, or something that Artificers I think also keys off of Sunder.
Battle Engineer and the one that you just mentioned.
Yeah. So I do like that they do kind of key some stuff off of those different abilities. Assassinate keys off in a couple things in the Falconry Tree, for example. I do kind of like the idea of maybe having some of that stuff expand, but I kind of wonder if instead of changing the specific ability, putting special attack enhancements might be like Rogue Acrobat could have a dexterity trip based attack, something could be some interesting options there.
Yeah, I really like where a lot of melee and range are in this game. They, you can have dex to hit and damage and wisdom to hit and damage with range and all this stuff. The one thing I'm sad about is the charisma scene, right? Because if you want to be a charisma melee, the best thing to do is just be a PDK and use some
PDK.
form of shorn. Yeah. And that's it, but that only works on swords. Like, what if I want to do this and that and this and that? Oh, you just play an Eldritch Knight sword, or you can get damage. It just seems like a jigsaw puzzle that is bought from 3 different companies, and that you're trying to put it together. It would be so nice if it can be as easily obtainable as the int scene right now. You can use int for anything. You can use int for everything short of intimidate.
Yeah, I'm actually a little. I don't know. I like the idea of there being some expanded use of different stats, especially with different abilities. Uh, I don't think I want it to be. I think the intelligence is actually probably too prevalent, personally. Although I don't know that it's any more prevalent than wisdom. So, because you can do wisdom in the falconry tree too. Although I think it might be a little more enhancement points.
I blame Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes, using his int in fist fights.
I actually watched those movies not too long ago. Let's see, the new Warlock packs look pretty interesting. Abyss has a nice ability and spell set, though it seems it could also be slightly riskier proposition, since unlike Pale Master, they won't have any way to mitigate double light damage. Yeah. Also, the Abyssal Shroud, well, it is now. She's talking about it won't be incompatible with Celestial Spirit. He does like Rend the Soul, seriously nice damage over time spell. Pretty easily do a couple thousand damage at taken epics. Celestial Pack is pretty tasty. Unevadable Divine Smiting with a Bolt of Lightning fits nicely on a thematic level. And the recent changes to effect scaling on Bless and Prayer will make their bonus spells more relevant in high levels. Maybe. It's kind of ashamed about damage guards going away, since they could be useful at low levels when they worked. Particularly against very mobile enemies like bats. But high level damage guards weren't really worth it. Likes to change to Jewel of Fortunes. It's probably been an issue for a while. The combination of hardcore server and full access, thanks to COVID, has really highlighted the issue for new players, not being able to have gear they can use straight away. I agree that an event meant to ostensibly boost player experience actually makes it worse, not to mention how it spoils the idea of buffing a friend with the jewel. Pro tip for trap finding: if you have some UMD scrolls of find traps, great to have on rangers, wizards, or alchemists in particular. And then last write-in, Todd was wondering if I could find out why ship buffs in the cargo bay don't work, and if or when they will return. Then he kind of goes on to say why he likes them. The short answer is they are not going to return. They have been phased out, which historically was actually something they said when they redid the guild airships, that they were going to go away, and then they left them in for a long time because people really liked them. The problem is from a balancing standpoint, it is very difficult for them to balance particularly lower level content around the idea that some people have 30 resistance and some people don't. So anything that could challenge people with 30 resistance was deadly to those who only had 5 or 10.
You can always give us a coupon that gives us free resistance.
Well, but that doesn't stack with the ship buffs were, yeah, I don't know. It was a balance issue. That's the short version. All right, so we're gonna close out the show here, and this turned into a very lengthy discussion. So probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this into 2 topical shows. So we'll have the update 46 patch 2 stuff here, and then we'll do the Ask the Devs kind of recap next week for the actual published show. So thanks for listening to the show. Thanks to my guest here. Arkat, anything you want to plug, sir?
Just Kasplat on Wednesday, and I will definitely be on mic way more than I was this past Wednesday. I was just in an awful foul mood, and I just did not want to talk at all. So
We
I'll
appreciate
be
you
better.
joining us. Hey, that's totally fine. We'd rather you not fake it and just, be in the space
Right.
that you're going to be. That's totally fine. Nimvin, you want to plug some stuff here?
Besides the toaster, I have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Nimvin. I also am on YouTube. You can just search Nimvin Dirtsinger there. And I'm a High Lord of Malkir, which means that public raids are posted in our Sorlona forums. Come check us out. We're a friendly bunch. And yeah.
Well, thanks to you guys. Thanks to all the contributors for DDOCast and to Standing So Games and Wizard of the Coast and to Cyberbears for hosting the podcast. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOcast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. If you have a DDO-themed webpage or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, you can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. And you can hit us up at ddocast.com for show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff. If you'd like to be a part of the show, if you have a comment on this episode, a question you'd like to hear us answer, or a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, leave a comment, email us, ddocast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media for the latest cast updates. At DDOcast is the best place on Twitter. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for buffs.